boys and girls. I'm back to share another story with you today. BB Bear and I wanted to show you we're getting ready to plant our garden. We've got some pepper plants. I've got some flowers. And BB Bear has the pumpkin seeds. And I've also have some carrot seeds and some spinach seeds. So we're thinking about gardening. Hopefully we get some warm, sunny weather soon and we can plant garden. But in the meantime, we're going to read garden books. And today I'm reading The Curious Garden by Peter Brown. Watch the pictures carefully because the city really changes in this story. The Curious Garden. This is one of my favorite books. Miss Alyssa's too. Miss Alyssa likes this book also. There once was a city without gardens or trees or greenery of any kind. Most people spent their time indoors, and as you can imagine, it was a very dreary place. Take a good look at this picture. Do you see any trees? Do you see flowers? Grass? Watch carefully. However, there was one boy who loved being outside. Even on a dreary day, when everyone else stayed inside, you could always find Liam happily splashing through his neighborhood. It was on one such morning that Liam made several surprising discoveries. He was wandering around the old railway, as he did from time to time, when he stumbled upon a dark stairwell leading up to the tracks. The railway had stopped working ages ago, and since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, there was only one thing for a curious boy to do. Liam ran up the stairs, pushed open the door, and stepped out onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of color. Wildflowers and plants were the last thing he expected to see up there, but when he took a closer look, it became clear the plants were dying. They needed a gardener. Do you notice how everything's still kind of greenish gray? Keep watching. Liam may not have been a gardener, but he knew that he could help. So he returned to the railway the very next day and he got to work. The flowers nearly drowned, and he had a few pruning problems. But the plants patiently waited while Liam found better ways of gardening. Pruning means he was trimming. As the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a gardener, and the plants began to feel like a real garden again. A little water, a little love and care, are starting to grow. Most gardens stay in one place, but this was no ordinary garden. With miles of open railway ahead of it, the garden was growing restless. It wanted to explore. The rough little weeds and mosses were the first to move. They popped up farther and farther down the tracks and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. Over the next few months, Liam and his curious garden explored every corner of the railway. Now look, do you see it? The sky's getting brighter. Look at where the garden's going, all down where the railroad tracks used to be. And there's Liam in the middle of it all, starting to grow. The plants are spreading. And they're spreading some more. The plants will grow in the cracks, in the concrete, all the empty spaces they can find. After spending his spring and summer and autumn with the garden, Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by winter. Heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season, and for the first time since he'd become a gardener, Liam could not visit his plants. They're buried under the snow. See Liam down here with his sled? Rather than waste his winter worrying about the garden, though, Liam spent it preparing for spring. Look what Liam's doing. He's reading a book. He can find out more about gardening in a book. And after 3 cold months, the snow finally began to melt, and Liam rolled his new gardening gear over to the railway. Looks like he's learned some things and got some new tools. He's ready to be a gardener. Winter had taken its toll on the garden. That's the way it looks after the winter. The plants aren't growing very much. But thanks to Liam's planning, his handy new tools, and a little help from the sun, the plants soon awoke from their winter sleep. And the garden started to grow again. The garden had always wanted to explore the rest of the city, and that spring it was finally ready to make its move. Once again, the tough little weeds and mosses set out first. They popped up farther and farther from the railway and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. The garden was especially curious about old, forgotten things. A few plants popped up where they didn't belong. Can you tell what's under here? A stop sign. Down here, you're right, the fire hydrant. Others mysteriously popped up all at once. Somebody put a planter outside this man's door. Who do you suppose it was? Who's that secret agent looking guy? Liam. He's helping the garden grow. The most surprising thing that popped up were new gardeners. Take a look at all the illustrations. Look at how the pictures are changing and getting brighter. Other people are starting to get interested in gardening just because Liam encouraged that little garden to grow. I love these pictures. Take a good look at all of these. Look at where the garden's growing. See these topiaries up here? A topiary is a bush that's been trimmed to look like something else. Look at the way the garden is spreading through the city. Many, many years later, the entire city had blossomed. But of all the gardens, Liam's favorite was still where it all began. Do you see Liam over here? He's grown up. Now his kids are learning to garden. And take a look at the city. Remember what it looked like in the beginning when it was dreary and gray? And now it's green, it's brighter. People are excited to play outside. Liam really figured out what he was good at and figured out what he liked to do and planted a garden. I hope that you will plant some seeds this year or some flowers. And I hope that you will plant some kindness and be a leader. Find out what you're good at and lead other people. Show them the way, because you guys can do that too. Well, BB Bear and I will see you later. Keep reading, boys and girls. Bye-bye.